It's crunch time in Texas. With intense rivalries determining district championships across the Lone Star State. And when the chips are down, teams turn to their best performers in hopes of pulling out a victory. Those stars were shining bright last week, both on and off the field, and we'll celebrate them coming up on the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week show. It is your favorite half hour each and every week, starring the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, Greg Tepper, who is ready to celebrate 6 outstanding student athletes coming up. In fact, 2 will be joining us live here on the show as they all put on quite the show in what we called Rivalry Week. Don't say that 20 times fast, but they did have battles of district supremacy as well. Yeah, there were, and you're starting to feel like, I think everybody who follows high school football is starting to feel like these games really matter. Of course, every game matters as far as Texas high school football is concerned, but now that you're in a district play and now that you're getting some titanic matchups across the state, it's really starting to feel like, okay, it's crunch time. These games are going to get you in the playoffs. These games are going to determine your seeding, and in a lot of ways, these games are going to determine your playoff path come December. And at the end of the day, some just featured plain bragging rights. Yeah. Westlake and Lake Travis going out in the Battle of the Lakes in one of the all-time great rivalries in Texas high school ball. Pick up in the third quarter. Westlake up 17-12. That's until Hudson Card. Play action. Airs it out deep to Kyle Eves, who hauls it in. Great catch there. Cavs go up 19-17, but back come the Shaps. Cade Klubnik, he's just a sophomore. Hits Jackson Coker across the middle for the score. And the Shaps go back in front 25-19 after a 2-point conversion. Then Lake Travis looking to respond. It's Card. This time, going deep, going up. Climb the ladder, Grayson Sandlin. Hauls it in. Cavs go up 26-25, under 5 minutes to play. Game winding down. Westlake to get into field goal range. Klubnik looking, rolling to his right, finding Mason Mangum to get them within field goal range. This would set up Westlake with a chance to win it. The long field goal is up. It is short. And Lake Travis holds on to beat their rival Westlake 26-25. Listen, and while this rivalry has traditionally favored Lake Travis, Westlake came in riding back-to-back wins. So Hudson Card, the Texas commit, saying not this year, quarterbacking the Cavs to that 1-point thriller in one of the greatest rivalries in the state. It is why Hudson Card is our Week 7 Class 6A Built Ford Tough Player of the Week Tap, and spoke with our Sarah Merrifield afterward.
Without the O-linemen and the receivers making huge catches and the defense making critical stops, I mean, we wouldn't have got the win. So, I mean, I'm just super proud of our team and the way we fought. So, I'm really excited. It's awesome. What makes this team so gritty and able to win against Westlake? I mean, they're a rival. We knew it was going to be a big one, and down to the wire. I mean, they're a great team. Hands down to them for competing really well. And it just came down to a couple plays, and we ended up getting the win. So it's awesome.
Man, Texas getting a steal in that one, huh?
Yeah.
Right out of the backyard.
Yeah, he's terrific, and latest in a long line of outstanding quarterbacks. Remember, we've known this kid for a couple of years now. He was the guy who came in and took over for Matthew Baldwin whenever Matthew Baldwin went down in that state championship game against Allen and played really, really well as a sophomore. So this kid is no stranger to the spotlight, and he was razor sharp in this game, most notably in the fourth quarter. 9 of 10 for 106 yards and 2 scores in the final frame. That's winning time, and the Hudson Card came up big when it counted most.
What's unfortunate, though, is that was the last of his play, at least for a while, as it was later reported that Card did suffer a foot injury in that game, and he will be out 4 to 6 weeks, Tab.
Yeah, there was a worry that he could miss the entire season with this. He's since gotten a second opinion, he's reported, and says that he should be out 4 to 6 weeks. But in any case, it's a tough loss for Lake Travis, who kind of vaulted themselves back into the 6A state championship contention with that win over Westlake. And now they're in okay hands. Nate Yarnell, the junior, is fully capable of stepping in, and a guy that I expect to put up big numbers. He's still got an outstanding core around him. But make no mistake, in a lot of ways, Hudson Card is the straw that stirs the drink for this Lake Travis attack. It's no surprise that a quarterback for Lake Travis is getting a lot of attention. It really stinks to lose such a dynamic playmaker, especially as they head into the playoffs.
Well, here's to a speedy recovery for Hudson Card, your Class 6A Built Ford Tough Player of the Week. But we know, as Hank Carter said, he will be contributing just as much on those sidelines as Lake Travis looks to be that playoff contender. Because speaking of playoff contenders making their cases known in Week 7, we take you to the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, and that is where number 1 Frisco Lone Star met Independence on a Thursday night. And the Rangers would stake themselves to a 21-zip lead early. Largely behind Jake Bogdan hitting pay dirt in that second. More from Lone Star quarterback Garrett Rangel, who throws a dime to superstar receiver Marvin Mims. 43-yard pitch and catch. Rangel would throw for 338 and 3 scores. Lone Star up 35-0. And that was more than enough for the suffocating defense, who recorded 6 sacks on the night. Do not forget that side of the ball under Rayburn. Lone Star heads into next week's showdown with the Colony at a perfect 6-0. And listen, Garrett Rangel has played just a critical role, rather, with this squad and leading them to that unbeaten start. And the numbers speak for themselves, Tep. This is why he is your Class 5A Week 7 Built Ford Tough Player of the Week.
So there's a really interesting story there at Frisco Lone Star. You know, we paid a lot of attention to them in the offseason, most notably in State 7-on-7, and they were rotating quarterbacks. They had 2 terrific quarterbacks, including Nevada commit Chandler Galvin, who has since been out for the year with an injury. And we kind of wondered, okay, what were they going to do at the quarterback spot? They got 2 really good options. Well, Galvin's injury opens the door for Garrett Rangel, and man, has he stepped up in a huge way for the sophomore. I think it's easy to pay attention to the numbers that wide receiver Marvin Mims is putting up, and rightfully so. He is amazing, but someone's got to give him the ball. And I'll tell you that I think Garrett Rangel is somehow underrated being the quarterback for the number 1 team in 5A Division 1, simply because I think a lot of attention gets paid to the defense and to the wide receiver core. But man, he is an operator out there, and the throws that he makes are well beyond his years and certainly deserving of being the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week.
Absolutely, and you wonder how far he could take this Lone Star team. Obviously number 1, but what do you foresee in their future, Tap?
Well, I see a showdown with another undefeated team. Back-to-back weeks they're going to play an undefeated team. Last week they played undefeated Frisco Independence, and you saw what they did. They kind of knocked them off. Yeah, this is a huge game. And the Colony kind of made waves in the early going when they knocked off Frisco Reedy in emphatic fashion. Yep. But this is a team in Lone Star that looks every bit the part of the number 1 team in 5A Division 1. What I love about the Colony is that they've reinvented their offense. Miles Price, their dynamo wide receiver, is their best player, and so they said, why don't we work an offense around how to get him the ball? Quarterback Mikey Harrington has stepped up in a big way. The question for me is going to be on the defensive side for the Colony, going up against this high-powered Lone Star attack. And, by the way, the Lone Star defense is pretty darn good themselves. This is a really interesting matchup, and you know, we asked the question on TexasFootball.com, do they got the juice? We're going to find out this week if the Colony has the juice, and they can certainly turn not just the district upside down, but arguably 5A Division 1 upside down.
And remember, we'll have coverage for you on Football Friday each and every week here on Fox Sports Southwest, as we are just getting started here in the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week show. Up next, our Class 4A winner joins us. If you like brains and brawn, stick around. The Built Ford Tough Player of the Week show is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas.
Hey fans, don't forget that Texas Ford dealers are looking for outstanding student athletes to be recognized as the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week. Every person dreams of having their name read on TV by Aaron Hardigan. Make that dream come true. Nominate your gridiron hero at playeroftheweek.com.
Well, I'll tell you one player Tepper couldn't stop talking about last week, and that was a particular running back that shone bright in a top 10 showdown in 4A Division 1. You had number 10 Needville hosting number 5 Columbia in a clash of 2 of the best in that classification.
Absolutely, and this game was all about the man Ashton Streddick. Columbia going at it with Needville, and this was a game for the Blue Jays to take flight. Senior running back Ashton Streddick had himself a game. 4 touchdowns, right? But that's not telling the whole story. This right here is a 99-yard touchdown run, and ain't nobody going to catch that young man when he gets into open space. And then, by the way, he capped it off with an 88-yard touchdown.
Was that a 99? Did we count the yard? Was that 99?
Yeah, I was counting as fast as I could, but he kept going. and the only thing that stopped him was the fact that he didn't have to run anymore because he had already scored 6 points. And Needville wins that game 34-17.
Ashton Streddick, the walking video game, and the Princeton commit is your Class 4A Built Ford Top Player of the Week as he and Needville head coach Mike Giles join us on the show. Boy, you are fun to watch. Guys, first of all, welcome to the show. And Ashton, a huge congratulations to you, my man, on this honor. Curious to know how you learned you were the best player in your classification this week and what your reaction was.
I was just pretty excited about it. I mean, I wasn't too, I wasn't too nervous about like my performance. I actually thought I didn't do that well because there's always room for improvement. But I was pretty excited when I got nominated this week.
What? He wasn't satisfied with that performance?
No.
That's a common theme around here, to not be satisfied.
Ashton, I want to ask you a little bit about that game. Obviously, going up against a Columbia team that's a big district opponent, a team that was unbeaten coming into this game. Did you guys put any extra importance on this game? Did this win feel a little bit sweeter on Friday night?
Not particularly. I mean, them being number 5 and us being ranked number 10, I mean, that was pretty exciting to just go at them and just show them that we're just honestly the better team of the night. And other than that, we practiced like all week was like a really focused mode, and we just took care of business.
Coach Giles, at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, we've been fans of Ashton for a couple of years now, and I think people can look at the numbers and they can look at what he's been able to do on the field. But you're the guy who gets to see him every day in practice. What is it about Ashton Stredick that makes him so special?
Well, he's a tireless worker. He's a great kid. Obviously, he's a great student. And having watched him mature and grow from his sophomore to his junior and now into his senior year, he's a completely different kid. He's hungry. At the end of the day, he's hungry to continue to prove people wrong and bring more attention and more wins to this program.
Well, and again, this is an honor that highlights his accolades on the field, in the classroom, in the community. And to pull back the curtain a bit, I loved prior to coming on the air, I asked Ashton what his GPA was, and he said, I think it's just a 3.85. Just a 3.85 is a GPA many young men would love to have. But Ashton, you're committed to Princeton as well. What went into that decision to, take your future football skills there?
Ultimately, it was just about education. I've always knew that football would be a way in. So just being a great athlete combined with being a good student, like going to Princeton, the #1 school in the nation, I mean, it was just a no-brainer.
And finally, guys, a question for both of you. You get a big win over Columbia. You guys are now on your open week. Don't have a game this Friday night, but I know that there's no bye weeks when it comes to Texas high school football. What are you guys looking to accomplish this week in the open week?
We're just fixing all the mistakes that we had last week and seeing how we can improve our game, and that's pretty much it.
We're just really trying to stay on schedule and continue to work the things we need to work, make the additions we need to make, and go on from there. But the main thing is that our kids stay locked in and focused, and regardless of what it is, whether it's walkthrough, it's an actual practice, weight room, video, that we're locked in and it's important and we're getting better.
But guys, thanks for joining us, and Ashton, congrats again on the honor.
Thank you guys, and thank you for what you do for high school football. Really, really means a lot.
Thank you for giving us plenty to talk about. There he goes, the senior running back out of Needville. As he's just a tremendous kid, both on and off the field, as Coach mentioned.
He's one of our favorite players at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and a guy that I'm glad is getting this big spotlight.
His favorite. We keep things in the backfield with our Class 3A honors tab as another senior running back. Although LeJathan Allen stars both ways for Paul Pewitt, Tap, and boy, did his stat line show it last week. He does it in all facets.
This is a pretty typical crazy 3A line here for Paul Pewitt, who, by the way, cracks the Dave Campbell's Texas Football rankings this week. Their big win over New Diana, he was everywhere, and I mean everywhere, whether it's running the ball, right? 229 carries is a workhorse, and he had 235 yards and 3 scores. But on the defensive side is, I think, where he made his biggest impact. 12 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble. This guy was all over the field making big splash plays. And you know what? What's interesting about Paul Pewitt is they are a run-based offense that is not an offense that's predicated on creating superstars. But LeJathan Allen has turned very quickly into a superstar for this Paul Pewitt squad, a team that is quickly rising up the rankings and getting a lot of attention around the state. That big win over New Diana really puts them on the map, and I have a feeling this will not be the last time we hear about LeJathan Allen.
No doubt. LJA, as they call him, and congrats to him. And again, Ashton Stredick, your 3A and 4A Built for Tough Players of Week 7 as the guests continue here on the Built for Tough Player of the Week show. In fact, up next, we welcome the TAPS rushing and scoring leader. Let's roll out the red carpet after this break. The Built Ford Tough Player of the Week show is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Our Class 2A Built Ford Tough Player of the Week also happens to be our second sophomore quarterback honored this week as well. Colt Shuckers is yet another Tep playing well beyond his years, leading Lindsay to a 5-0 start to the season.
Yeah, the Knights have been on fire to start the year, and Colt Shuckers is a big reason why. Playing well beyond his years. This is a kid that I think is really growing as the season goes on, and I think that the coaching staff is starting to trust him a little bit more. And some of these throws he makes are dimes. Deep passes. I mean, when you go 19 of 28, I think there's this assumption that's a lot of these short passes. No, they are pushing the ball down the field, and he lit it up last week against Chico in a 56-0 win. 6 touchdowns, and a lot of these are just bombs that he is putting exactly where it needs to be. So Colt Shuckers certainly deserving of being our Built Ford Tough Player of the Week in 2A.
Playing beyond his years as that leader for Lindsay. And if you like leaders, you're in for a treat, as our next guest happens to lead Taps in both rushing and scoring with over 1,000 yards on the ground and 18 touchdowns through 7 games, Tep, which means last week's win over St. Pius was just another day at the office for reigning All-State running back Gibby Garza of San Antonio Central Catholic, joining us along his head coach, Mike Santiago. Guys, welcome to the show. And Gibby, congrats. How did you learn of the honor, and what was your reaction?
I was very surprised. I wasn't really thinking I was going to receive it, but Coach Santiago told me about a couple of days ago, and I found out I was just very, very thankful that I got it.
Gibby, obviously a pretty big night last week against Houston St. Pius X. I'm interested, 14 carries, 301 yards. What was working for you on that night?
We realized we started the run game a little bit earlier, and we saw that it was working. So Coach thought it was just right that we just keep pushing the ball, and it seemed to work. So yes, it was kind of a nice night for all of us.
Coach, I know Gibby mentioned he made the transition from H-back to running back this year. It seems to be paying dividends for you guys.
Well, no, there's no doubt. He's a great athlete, and he can play both positions very well. He's catching balls for us out of the backfield also. He had a couple receptions, 2 receptions for 30 yards. And, he can do it all. So it's fun to coach him.
Gibby, this is a award that honors excellence both on and off the field. I know you're involved in a lot of different programs outside of the field. Is there any one in particular that you're involved in off the field that you're particularly proud of?
I'm a part of a program called Kinetic Kids, and it deals with special needs kids that like to be involved into sports, such as basketball, football, swim, and bicycling. So it's really one that hits dear to my heart, and I really enjoy spending my time with them and just helping out.
Coach, I'm going to let you brag on the one sitting to your left there. What makes him this week's private school Built Ford Tough Player of the Week?
I think number one is his work ethic. Gibby comes to work every day. He never says 2 words. He goes about his business. He's appreciated by his teammates, by his coaches. He's just a pleasure to coach. Outside of being a phenomenal athlete, he's one that's just very, very enjoyable to be around and coach.
Also, for viewers out there that don't know what an actual button is, they're the San Antonio Central Catholic buttons.
Yeah, it's the rattle on the end of a baby rattlesnake, right?
Right?
There's no doubt that's what it is. And I had to look that up when I first got this job.
Did you? Well, listen, we learn something new each and every week here on the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week show, and we can't congratulate Gibby enough. Well-deserved on the honor, and thank you two both so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
Best of luck moving forward, guys. Yes, button. It's a little, it's not belly button or a button on a shirt.
Not like this.
I dig that, though. And
Yeah.
what a great kid. Does so much work off the field as well. So much to be proud of.
Well, and that's a big part of the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week is not only what you're doing on the field. And you're seeing these gaudy numbers flash up on your screen, and that's important. But the thing that I like most is when you see one of those graphics, and it's got those numbers there, and at the bottom it just lists all the things they're doing off the field. That's super special. And Gibby Garza is a special kid who's obviously doing pretty good things on the football field, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you to him again and Coach Santiago for joining us, as well as another congratulations to Colt Shuckers, your class Class 2A Built for Tough Player of the Week. When we return, it is never too early to look ahead to Week 8 players and games we got our close eye on. We roll those out next on the Built for Tough Player of the Week show. The Built for Tough Player of the Week show is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Players we are keeping a close eye on in Week 8, Tep. How about Neon Dion's young son there at the bottom?
Yeah, Shador Sanders has been terrific for Trinity Christian Cedar Hill. They're the #1 team in the private school ranks according to Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Cornerback Dylan Davis for Abilene Cooper has been all over the field. And a Dave Campbell's Texas Football favorite, Bruceville Eddie running back Nathan Quattlebaum. He's been outstanding for the Eagles as they are looking to make their mark in Central Texas.
Speaking of making marks, boy, are we going to have some marks made in some of these slugfests.
Look,
where do we begin?
Well, there are 6 matchups of undefeateds in the state of Texas this week. 2 of them are listed here. Wall and Jim Ned is a super tasty matchup. Wall has not slowed down since Texas football days. Gilmer and Pleasant Grove needs no introduction. The computer rankings of Dave Campbell's Texas Football actually think those are the 2 top teams in 4A Division II across the entire state. But look, in 5A in Central Texas, Hutto and Cedar Park is going to be fantastic. You know, I'm really interested to see how, this is a big test, I think, for the Hutto defense. They've been fantastic so far, but have they faced an offense like they're going to see from Ryder, Hernandez, and company? This is going to be a really interesting matchup. The guy to keep an eye on is sophomore quarterback Grayson Doggett, the quarterback for Hutto. He's got good senior core around him, and you know that Black Rain defense for Cedar Park is going to lay the wood. And then in the DFW Metroplex, it's kind of greater DFW. Matchup of unbeatens, it's Springtown, it's Decatur, and it's going to be pointsy. These 2 teams can score in bunches, and they're superstars all over the field. Cameron Rickett, the running back for Springtown. Roman Fuller, the quarterback for Decatur. Gunnar Ragsdale, the running back for Decatur. Camden Chesney, the quarterback for Springtown. Absolutely loaded with talent there for this 4A matchup, and a huge, huge statement win for whoever can come out of there in Region 1.
That's one of our pick'em games this week. Which way did you roll in that?
Do you want me to tell you?
I mean, yeah, we need a deciding factor considering I still
took Springtown.
Ahead
I
of
like Porcupine's defense.
The rivalry week continues, and I'll continue to practice saying that so I can continue to nail it on Football Friday each and every Friday night right here on Fox Sports Southwest as Greg Tepper and I once again congratulate Hudson Card, Garrett Rangel, Ashton Stredick, Jathan Allen, Colt Shuckers, and Gibby Garza. Once again, your Week 7 Built for Tough Players of the Week. We'll see you same time, next place, next week.
Happy to introduce